Hi there, I'm Ciara Whelan and you're welcome once again to Ireland County by County, the programme that explores the sights and sounds, the places to visit, the culture and the food that our country has to offer. This time we're in one of Ireland's best kept secrets, a rich and varied county with gentle rolling hills and charming locals. You can expect breathtaking outdoor pursuits and plenty of history and heritage. In the next 30 minutes, I'll be visiting the eye-opening giant sculpture trail at an historical 18th century estate, learning about the great Irish writer Patrick Kavanagh and checking out the quaint restored tea room that takes its name from one of his most famous poems. Seeing the beauty and tradition at the heart of Carrickmacross lace, a delicate and enchanting Irish craft which dates back to 1820. And I'll be visiting a family-owned brewery on a farm that has been run by generations of McMahons and encapsulates the wealth of literary and familial history that shapes this area. All this, as well as local food, traditional crafts and ancient sites, in a place with the most well-preserved traditions you'll find anywhere in Ireland. Welcome to County Monaghan. Monaghan, with one of the most notable mountains in the region, numerous lakes, rivers and forests, is a dream for any lover of the outdoors. From golfing at Conquer Wood to water sports at Loch Mucknow, Monaghan offers many ways to make the most out of this county's vast and varied terrain. So, everywhere you go, you'll find stunning views waiting to be explored. Setting off from this, one of the most northerly locations of the county, I'm visiting Slieve Bay. A vast heath and blanket bog with many lakes and streams spread along Monaghan's border with counties Fermanagh and Tyrone in the north of Ireland. Here we can find many rare species of birds and flora, as well as the highest point in Monaghan. It's one thing to visit the Monaghan Mountains, but a completely different thing altogether to experience them. I'm going to meet up with Martin from Slieve Bay Adventures, who's going to help me explore some of the smoother, easier routes of the Knockatalan walks with one of their cycling routes. With trails ranging from scenic strolls suitable for beginners to the more challenging 28 miles that make up the Slieve Bay Way, there really is something here for everyone. A short distance south you can find the iconic Clonus Heritage Trail, which takes visitors from the town's monastic beginnings around the year 500 AD at the old market house and goes on to visit the High Cross to recent plans to revive the Ulster Canal. And if you journey a bit north, you can't fail to see this. The Rossmore Forest Park, the historic estate where Rossmore Castle was built in 1827. Today, the only remains left of the castle are the buttresses to the castle walls and the entrance stairway. But the historical estate is a must spot for travellers to take in the park's walled garden and the nearby Yew Avenue. Not to mention, it counts as a very special experience for hikers. The Giants Trail is a really fun art installation here in Rossmore Park. With works undertaken by local sculptor Mark Kelly, the plan is to have 11 giants in total, each with their own name, personality and piece of local history and folklore. I'm off to meet Paul Bond, who's going to tell me all about his friend, Roddy. So Paul, whose idea was it originally to put the giants in the park?
Well, a group of us, and we just wanted an alternative to fairy gardens. So we decided what's the complete opposite.
We're opposite to fairies than
no,
this.
you can see it from space.
He's huge.
Yeah.
So this is Roddy.
Roddy Dendrum, who lives among the rhododendrons.
When you come into the park, there's a great sense of community. People are jogging, they're going for their walks, the kids in the playground, but the community were involved with the giants as well.
Roddy himself was constructed by local craftspeople, and we involved kids from the local youth diversion project. They gathered up all the fallen rhododendron twigs that make up his beard.
What else can people see then when they come to Rossmore Forest Park?
Rossmore Castle was the first building in Ireland to be electrified with its own water-powered hydraulic electric station. It had its own gas station, again probably the first in the country.
couldn't possibly have a giant trail without the Queen of the Giants.
Well, Banba is the queen of all the giants, and she guards the gate at the front. She's resting asleep. Her story is connected with an actual historical character, Benny Callan. He ran away from home in 1926, so in the story he gets as far as here, and Banba puts her cloak around him and he falls into a deep sleep. She points to a full moon and says, "I can see your name on the moon." So in 1928, Benny Callan left Corduff, where he lived, on a horse and cart, went to Ballybay train station, got a steam train to Derry and then a steamship to New York, where he was taken in by a convent. He worked on the farm, they educated him, he studied engineering, and he ended up later working for Grumman Laboratories, who NASA tasked with building the Eagle on the Apollo 11 mission. So the Eagle was the piece that actually landed on the moon, and the base of it is still there. They were allowed to put a plaque on the landing pod. So Benny Callan's name is one of the 12 Grumman engineers whose name still is on the moon.
Okay, I thought Roddy was going to be my favourite giant, but I think we should go and have a look at Spike.
Yes, why not?
Moving back towards the north of the county, we come to the beautiful village of Glasslough, Ireland's tidiest town full of hidden gems, including a little safe haven for chocolatiers in Glasslough chocolate. Established in 2013 by Trish Murphy-Tom, the shop creates deliciously rich artisan chocolates. Each chocolate is handmade using fine Belgian chocolate and a few selected natural ingredients locally sourced where possible. Or, if it's ceramics you're into, make sure you check out Busy Bees, a colourful ceramic workshop. Glasslough is an area of great historic and architectural value, and for the last 300 years the village has been intimately associated with Castle Leslie Estate, home to the Leslie family. The village's very name translates from Irish as the Calm or Green Lake, in reference to the beautiful lake now situated within Castle Leslie Estate. Resting on 1,000 acres of scenic Irish countryside dotted with ancient woodland and glittering lakes, Castle Leslie is one of the last great Irish castle estates still in the hands of its founding family. The estate has been visited by numerous famous faces over the years, from W.B. Yeats to Rolling Stones frontman Sir Mick Jagger. And in 2002, the estate's family church hosted Sir Paul McCartney's wedding to Heather Mills.
What better way to learn about Castle Leslie than to sit with trustee of the estate, Sammy. She's going to tell me all about her home and family over a fabulous afternoon tea. Sammy, thank you so much for having me here. Tell me all about Castle Leslie.
Castle Leslie's in Glasslough, which is one of the most magical little corners of the country. It just sort of got frozen in time.
And you're obviously part of the family, Sammy Leslie. Tell me about the Leslie family.
Family came from Hungary originally as a protector for Margaret, Queen of Scots in the 1000s. And then in the 1600s, a bishop sort of was a bit outspoken in Scotland and he got sent to Ireland and he was called the Fighting Bishop. And as a reward, he was given £2,000 and he bought the estate here in 1664. He fell in love with the view. I mean, how could you not fall in love with the view?
There's a big American connection as well, is there?
The family married a lot of really interesting women over the years, and then came the Americans. So they married Leonie Jerome of the Jerome sisters, and her sister was Churchill's mother. My grandmother, who was from Vermont, she grew up in the Philippines and Samoa when her mother died. Her father took overseas postings. So they've been quite a cracking bunch over the years.
The house itself feels really romantic. So obviously it's an incredible place to get married. And one very famous person who did get married here was Paul McCartney.
We got incredibly lucky when Paul McCartney chose here for his wedding to Heather Mills. I mean, he could have chosen anywhere in the world. So we kind of slightly pinch ourselves.
He had a Monaghan connection, did he?
We understand that his mother, Mary Mohan, was from Monaghan, and I think maybe that was one of the routes to come back. And also his song, Let It Be, is all a tribute to his mother. So we kind of think of that as a Monaghan song.
The work you've done here is incredible. I can imagine that you're going to do so much more over the next few years.
Places like this, it's all about the longevity, and it's a never-ending evolving series of projects. So things like restoring the wall garden, working on the famine wall. I mean, there's amazing stories around the famine in this area and things that were done. There are so many things that we have in the pipeline. It's really quite exciting. The next 10 years are going to be good and busy.
It's the people who keep a place alive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Cheers to that.
Here, cheers to health and happiness and a house full of laughter.
Absolutely.
Heading south now, we travel to Inishkeen, the birthplace of one of Ireland's greatest poets, who found inspiration and comfort in nature and in his treasure trove of Monaghan memories.
The Patrick Kavanagh Centre honours the author's life and works through collections, exhibitions and events that embrace the evolution and spirit of this area and, of course, Kavanagh's deep ties to Monaghan. I'm here to chat to Art Agnew to find out more. Art, or should I say, Mr. Agnew, you were an English teacher, but actually that's not your only connection to Kavanagh, is it?
My grandaunt taught Patrick Kavanagh. She was the Miss Moore in The Green Fool.
So tell me about Patrick's early life then.
He was born in the townland of Mucker. Now, as you can understand, Mucker is not the most appealing of names for anything, but Mucker in Irish means the place of the pigs, because pigs were a very important animal because they were a cash crop, if you understand.
And did he always write?
He wrote from a very early age. Even when he was at school, there's a line that exists from him where he saw the finger of God in a nettle leaf.
He drew inspiration from Monaghan, didn't he?
You see, if you live in County Monaghan, you live in drumlin country. The one thing about drumlin country is it is not flat. It either encourages boredom or wonderful curiosity. And with Kavanagh, it would have been the curiosity, because around the next turn, over the next hill, there was going to be scenery, there was going to be a vista.
And then when did he leave Monaghan?
By 1936, he was published by Macmillan's of London. Now, it wasn't just an overnight sensation or anything. He had been sending poetry to places like Macmillan's and to Constable's. And Helen Waddell, who was a reader with Constable's at the time, she was a playwright herself. She encouraged him to go along and to sit down and write. And that's when he wrote The Green Fool.
Now, Art, I cannot let you leave without giving me a few lines of a Kavanagh poem.
I have lived in important places, times when great events were decided. Who owns that half a rood of rock? A no man's land, surrounded by our pitchfork-armed claims. I heard the Duffy shouting, "Damn your soul," and Owl McCabe seen step the plot, defying blue cast steel. Here is the march along these iron stones.
And if you have time, be sure to stop in next door to the beautifully restored Raglan Road Tea Rooms. Only a stone's throw away, I arrive at my next destination, the Brehon Brewhouse, which is named after the old Brehon laws that governed medieval Ireland, which stated that every clan was allowed to brew beer for their own family.
Originally founded by dairy farmer Seamus McMahon, Brehon Brewhouse takes its inspiration from a wealth of local and family history. I'm here to chat to the man himself, whose family have been farming here for generations. Seamus, the end of this beautiful country lane is the last place I expected to find a brew house. How did you get started?
Basically dairy farmers for a couple of generations, and we're looking probably to do something on farm to boost the income. You know, the milk was fluctuating price-wise. We're trying to level that curve, and after a few drunken nights drinking craft beer, we decided maybe it was a good idea to set up a brewery on a dairy farm in County Monaghan.
What I love about the brew house is the name, Brehon. Where does that come from?
Brehon is after Brehon law, so Brehon law would have superseded British law by millennia. Under Brehon law, the brewing industry would have thrived and the distilling industry would have thrived.
We kind of think that craft beers are quite modern and trendy, but actually they're historical here.
You're allowed to brew for your own clan, and any excess then you're allowed to sell to your own clan. Most clans would have had a distillery or a brewery on their premises, which would have been used then to obviously gain a bit of income.
Tell me about the process then.
So you've basically got 4 ingredients. You've got malted barley, you've got water, you've got yeast, and you've got a lot of thyme.
And what can people see when they come?
People can see the cows in the fields, they can taste the milk from the dairy fresh. They go to the brewery then, we give them a brief history lesson of why we call it Brehon. They can smell the hops, they can obviously see the process, whatever's going on, if it's bottling or kegging or canning, they can see and participate in that. And then it's round here to the cottage and to taste the fruits of our labours.
Heading back up north, I'm visiting the beautiful landscape surrounding Loch Mucknow and get a close-up look at the amazing array of water sports and outdoor activities that the Castle Blaney Outdoor Adventure Centre makes available for visitors. The aim of the Castle Blaney Outdoor Adventure Centre is to encourage people to experience the thrill and challenge of high-level outdoor learning here in one of Monaghan's most scenic spots. They've got everything from windsurfing to canoeing, but for me, it's paddleboarding. In the town of Castle Blaney, you can also find the historic 18th century Hope Castle. Originally named Blaney Estate, Hope Castle received its name when it came under the ownership of the Hope family, who also owned one of the most famous jewels in the world, the Hope Diamond. The diamond became well known in the US after being purchased in 1949 by Harry Winston, who took it on tour across America over the next decade. And just a bit south in Castle Blaney, you will find one of the grandest romantic gestures you can imagine. The one-of-a-kind St. Peter's Tin Church of Lara was built on a rock in a beautiful woodland setting amongst the ferns and ivy. Designed in a Swiss Gothic hybrid style, the structure was a gift from the mill owner James McKean to his wife after their honeymoon in Switzerland, where she saw and fell in love with it. Heading back upwards, we come across a unique and colourful gem where art fuses with age-old craft. At Swallow Studios, Liz Christie set up her hand-weaving business, and for the brand that she has built up, it is essential that she can say that her scarves are genuinely hand-woven in Ireland. Inspired by the traditions of Ireland's ancient East with a little bit of a twist from a French impressionist, every piece made here at Swallow Studios is an individual piece of art. Let's go and chat to Liz Christie in her loom room. Liz, the studios are fabulous. You couldn't possibly come in here and not feel happy with all the colours. How long have you been here?
We built the studio in 2004 and we've been here since. Originally I started off the business in the house, up in the spare bedroom, and it was never meant to come out of that. It was always meant to be there.
Where do you draw your inspiration from?
When I started off in the house and I got my first batch of yarn in, I sat down on the floor with my Monet books because I liked Claude Monet, and I started to do up some shade cards. So the first batch of scarves that I made to bring to my customer in Dublin were inspired by Monet's paintings, and I wrote it on them, and that kind of became my story.
Tell me about the process itself. What's involved?
I start with a cotton warp, and I design that out. I'll work out the colours that I want to use, and then I'll do the sums and count them out, and then I prepare it on a warping mill. Then the next stage is it goes to the loom and it's tied on. So if I'm using the same structure, the same weave structure that I had previously, I'll tie it onto the previous warp and pull it through. But if I'm setting it up from scratch, I'll re-thread up the whole loom with the pattern. And then the next process is the actual weaving, and I use my hand-dyed yarns for that.
You've met a very famous lady, Dolly Parton.
In 2007, I got the opportunity to go to Dollywood and meet Dolly Parton. I was there as part of the Festival of Nations. They run there in Dollywood every year, and for 2 years in a row, the focus was on Ireland. The loom that I was working on was hired from the weaving school in Gatlinburg. It was lovely to be there, and it was lovely to meet Dolly, and I made friendships there that with people that I still keep in touch with.
Travelling further south, we arrive at the town of Carrickmacross, where a delicate and enchanting Irish craft dating back to 1820 continues to capture the eyes of visitors from around the world. The tradition of Carrickmacross lace begins right here in Monaghan. Collective at Market Square is a wonderful art and craft gallery here in Carrickmacross, with an astonishing 70% of their arts and crafts being made in County Monaghan. And right next door is the Carrickmacross Lace Gallery. So Elizabeth, tell me about the history of Carrickmacross lace.
If we go back to the beginning, which was 200 years ago, when a Mrs. Gray Porter out in the parish of Dunamine, which is the north side of the county here, north from us here, she was the rector's wife and her maid was a great needlewoman. While on holiday in Italy, they saw the Italian lace being made and they took note of it and took a few samples home with them. When they came back home, they got interested and started making lace. It was Queen Victoria's favourite lace, and she had a great input into the lace as well. So it has gone back that far. The Carrick Cross lace is synonymous with the English royalty.
Still popular with the royals.
The Queen came to Ireland, so we decided that we would go up to the embassy in Dublin and present a piece of lace to the ambassador there, who would present it then to Queen Elizabeth.
And is it true that you gave Barack Obama some as well?
Barack Obama was coming at the same time, the then President of the United States, so we decided we would do a piece for Barack as well, and we handed it into the American embassy. And then the next thing was that William got married, and then we heard all this huff and fuss about that she had actually Carrick Cross lace in her dress.
And what type of thing are people ordering?
Wedding veils would have been a big thing, and wedding pieces. Folks that come from the States want the shamrocks, and the harp is very, very important to them to take back. And also then you would have christening gowns for the new baby, and that's an heirloom then down on the whole family as well.
Heading towards the heart of the historical barony of Farney, you'll find Carrickmacross Workhouse, which was constructed for the relief of the poor of Carrickmacross town in 1841. Today, it is one of the few remaining Irish workhouses to be lovingly and carefully restored. It is preserved to showcase Irish heritage and the best that South Monaghan has to offer. Courthouse Restaurant, the award-winning establishment in the middle of the picturesque town, has earned visitors' appreciation for its seasonal cuisine with a focus on the best local Irish produce. It's a rustic and welcoming space, and its specialties include house dry aged beef, wild seafood and sourced wine.
My visit to Monaghan wouldn't be complete without stopping by Carrickmacross's very own Courthouse Restaurant. I'm here to chat to Conor Mee, who's going to show me exactly what makes this place so special. Conor, thank you so much for having me. How long have you been here in the Courthouse Restaurant?
We've been here now 12 years, 2009, and it's been fantastic, 12 years.
What are we going to cook today then?
Today we're just going to cook a very simple salad. Okay, so we've got some wild garlic hummus. So we've, a friend of ours has picked some wild garlic for us and dropped it into us. We've got some local grown beetroots along with a celeriac. We've got crispy duck leg, duck skin and duck leg, and these are Silver Hill duck legs, and they come from Vale, which is the other end of the county, the north end of the county. And we're going to serve that with some apple balsamic vinegar. And we also have some homemade brown bread, which is made with our Brehon beer, which again has just been out the road.
I was just there, fabulous.
Yes. We have our hummus here, okay, and we're just going to put that at the bottom of the bowl, okay. Give it a very just simple wipe around the plate.
Amazing,
yes,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Conor?
nice smell.
Amazing.
Good. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take our beetroots, okay. Take some of them. Take some of our pickled beetroots. So these are the raw version of our cooked ones. Okay, we'll just keep it not too many. Okay. Then we've got some walnuts which we've roasted up. Okay.
Nice bit of crunch.
A little bit of salt. Okay. Then we've got some kale, which is again locally grown. It's coming to the end of the season, so it's coming to the end. So in the summertime we'll see lots more greens on the menu. But this is one of the few that we always get the winter season. It's all about taste and keeping it fresh and keeping it simple. So we have our duck leg here. Okay, so again we've just roasted up, kept it simple, chopped it up, and then we've used the same legs, and we've got them nice and crispy. So that gives a wee bit of texture. Okay. So we won't use too much of that. Okay. And then
Fatty, tasty part, isn't it?
yeah, well, sure. Look, at fat is the flavour. Okay, and then we're going to take some fresh dill. I'm just going to snip that in nice and gently. Okay, and then we've got what we have here is apple balsamic vinegar. This comes all the way from Kilkenny, so it's the Midlands. So we're in the ancient East, but you know, as the crow flies, not too far away, a couple hours away. Okay, in there, we'll just give it a very gentle stir around. Okay, then we'll start to assemble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we just have a little bit of raw celeriac with some mustard seeds and vinegar. There we go. Excuse the fingers.
Gotta try the fatty duck though.
Yeah.
That is delicious. Okay, I'm never going to remember how to do that at home. This is the problem. I'm going to have to come to the restaurant.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Fabulous, really fabulous.
Good.
I hope you've enjoyed our time in County Monaghan and all the wonderful places this hidden gem has to offer. Join me next time as we continue our visit to Ireland, county by county.
Ireland County by County is brought to you in part by Monaghan Tourism, Ireland's Department of Foreign Affairs, the National Parks and Wildlife Services, Board Bia, the Irish Food Board, the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
CIE Tours, sharing the magic of Ireland for nearly 90 years.